Let me talk to you next about MPs' pay, because we've had confirmation now it's going to set to rise to more than £91,000. This is after the watchdog there gave them a massive inflation-busting 5.5%. Now, I can tell you now, right, some people say that, you know, whatever you pay them, it needs to be much, much more. Other people are saying they're getting way too much as it stands. But that pay increase translates to about an extra just shy of £5,000 a year. So 91,000 just over with the total that they're getting. Is that good value for money? Too much, too little, Kelvin?
I think it's entirely appropriate. And these politicians, much as... I mean, after all, GB News wouldn't exist without them. These politicians do 7-day weeks. It is a 52-week job. You're always on parade. You can't afford to do almost anything without it being a major news story. I think they make the money. And on the Conservative side, as distinct from the Socialist side, of course, many of them will be taking pay cuts to come and represent the good people of our nation. Whereas on the Socialist side, of course, there'll all be either councillors or trade unionists, in which case it's a hefty great pay rise, which is why so many Socialists want to become MPs and are likely to do so in the November general election. So
what do you think a fair salary for an MP is then?
Look, 91 grand is not too bad. They can hire the missus. They can hire their daughters as agents and representatives. There's a fair amount of money coming in. But what other job do you know where you're flogging yourself to death? And actually dealing with the public must be enormously hard work, right? You're flogging yourself to death, and then every 5 years, 3 years, 4 years, boom, out the door you go. And then nobody wants to put an MP on their board.
Hello?
Oh, no, I don't agree at all. I mean, it's not really the amount that gets me. I mean, I don't think most people care about that. It's this justification that if you've just had politicians say to striking nurses, rail workers, people who are on a fraction of what they're on, you know, we're all in a recession, times are hard, I'm afraid we can't, you know, rise your pay to inflation rates because, you know, there just isn't enough money in the purse and we've all got to pull in together and make our own sacrifices. And then this kind of thing happens. It completely undermines the nonsense argument that there is some kind of national effort to tackle the economic crisis. So I think rightly a lot of people will be quite annoyed by this. You know, the £90,000 wage I might be OK with if politicians were working for some sense of public good, if there was sense of flogging their guts out for democracy. But particularly, I mean, never mind about there's no Socialists MPs out there. If only there were, it might be a little bit of a more interesting debate. But in terms of the Conservative Party, from Grant Shapps to Suella Braverman to Rishi Sunak, you can see that all of them are looking to the end of their parliamentary career to get on the cash cow of the after-dinner party circuit. So a lot of our politicians at the moment are on a careerist track. They don't really care about the 90 grand a year. What they're looking for is the kind of celebrity and publicity they'll get post their parliamentary careers.
Right, so
sympathy for them I have none.
I know a story through my wider family. I know a story about Jeremy Hunt, OK? Chancellor. Bloody hard-working all the time. He took time out to do something in relation to damaged children, right, challenged children. There was nothing in it for him. He's never had any publicity for it. He worked damned hard at this, almost single-handedly, and it has happened. And it's only happened because of him. He did not seek any preferment. He did not seek PR. Nobody knows about it. I happen to hear about it, right? I think a lot of good is done by politicians, and the bad, as in Julius Caesar, lives after them. The good is often turned in their bones, and that is my issue. I don't know how much I agree with Ella. I don't know what is the right number, but the idea of quoting railway drivers is a bit rich, isn't it? They make 65 grand for about a 32-hour week. Well, and they're hoping all day long the train breaks down.
For a lot of people,
I don't need...
you know, if only Jeremy Hunt was a bit of a better chancellor. He's a crap chancellor, and he's not doing anything for raising the economy.
Ella, you may know a lot about economics. Our country is not in good shape.
At least rail drivers do a job that, you know, transporting people around the country is an important thing. But this is the point. I think that, you know, you don't score points as to who's more valuable, who does more work. The government has said we can't give striking workers any more because there just isn't any more pennies in the coffers. That's obviously Nonsense.
But I think a lot of nurses did get about 5%, so some would argue that actually it's probably similar amounts. The chairman of IPSA, this is the body, of course, that decide on what this pay amount should be, they've said serving as an MP should not be reserved to those wealthy enough to fund it themselves. We believe the decision recognises the vital role MPs play in our democracy and considers the continued economic challenges facing the country. Well, there you go. Where are you on that conversation? Tell me, gbviews@gbnews.com.